Hello and welcome to the Hospital Construction Channel. This is week 89 of my coverage of the construction of this hospital, and this is a very special week because on Tuesday of this week we were granted permission to take a tour of the site. So we're about to go down inside the site and take a look around inside. Before we begin, I want to thank the people at the construction company very much for arranging this. I greatly appreciate it. Okay, that's us down there on the street. It's a little hard to see, but that's us down there. So come on, let's go on down there and get started. Okay, first thing, to get into this high-tech construction site, I have to scan my helmet before it will let me in. So I'm imagining probably in some office somewhere there are these alarms going off. Intruder alert, intruder alert. But actually, though, I put my helmet right in front of the sensor, blocking my view of the green light, so at first I couldn't even tell that I was allowed in. But eventually I figured it out, and we're in. We're going to enter the building through what will be one of the entrances to the underground parking garage on Post Street. And that's our tour guide, Bud, up ahead on the left, and I want to thank Bud for the tour. He was an excellent tour guide, and I do mean that seriously. He was great.
Area right here, this is the drive-through. As far as I know, this is the only hospital that has a drive through the building. You can drive all the way through this thing.
I think it was one of the compromises that they made, as far as the traffic, Erie, how to get people, in and out. We'll be able to interpose Erie post.
Right. The ambulance entrance is up that way, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how much you know about construction, but there's a structural column, and the stuff that's on them is fireproofing.
I did know that, yeah.
One of the first things that you'll find about a large construction column or beam is there's very low tolerance to heat.
Yeah.
They'll handle earthquake, movement, different stuff, a lot of weight, but when the heat gets them to about 1200 degrees, bam, they start twisting up and busting. That's what this does, keeps that from happening.
So this is all parking here, right? This is all going to be parking here?
No.
No?
Let me tell you how.
Okay.
Slick floor,
Yeah.
not in parking.
Gotcha.
Got swirl finish on, that's parking.
Okay.
Now this is drive. This will drive up and drive into that. This all
Okay.
builds up. So from here,
How do they get in? Are they going to come in this way?
Where we're standing right now is going to be the entrance to the parking garage, and up there where the light is coming in, cars will be coming in off the street there, make a turn, and come down this way into the garage. Now, if you're like me, you're looking at that and you're wondering, how can this be? There's a big drop-off there. Well, it turns out they're going to build a ramp down from there, but it won't be a solid concrete ramp because that would be too much weight. So it's going to be a ramp made out of steel, apparently with some layers of styrofoam in between. So interestingly, when you drive into this garage, at this first part here anyway, you're going to be driving over styrofoam, sort of. So isn't that interesting?
to compensate for some of the weight that's filling this whole thing with concrete, you'll put styrofoam in.
Oh, that's interesting.
And
Okay.
the rebar will be over the top of it, and then you'll get another slab of concrete.
So you'll be driving on top of styrofoam.
I mean, we could fill it all up with concrete, but that's not the way it's designed. They want to minimize the weight some.
Sure.
So in between the two layers, you'll get a real dense foam,
Okay.
and then you'll get another slab of mat, steel mat.
That makes
The
sense.
slab will be big enough to carry everything itself, and then the foam's just a fill.
Huh. On a typical day, like how many people are at this site, do you know?
We have like 300 now, 400. And this is parking.
This is parking, yeah.
Wall behind this, you've probably seen the lagging.
Yes, yes.
Big wood.
Yeah.
And the steel beam.
Behind the concrete wall that we're looking at right now is the retaining wall that we saw them building in the early days of the construction. This is a view from way back in week 31. You can see the retaining walls all there, and they're putting in layers for insulation and drainage. And that yellow map pin there indicates approximately where we're standing right now. Not being an expert in construction myself by any means, at the time I wondered, why is this wood? Wood doesn't last forever. But the reason that retaining wall is there is only to protect the site during construction. So now that this part of the building's complete, that wall doesn't really serve any structural purpose anymore, and that retaining wall could completely go away, and it wouldn't affect the structural integrity of the building.
That's something I wondered. Is that wood only temporary? It can rot and go away, and everything will still be.
It is pressure treated, though. It'll take 100 years to rot.
But even if it does,
if it's not there,
it's not. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
The structure is designed to take all the loading. It was just there to protect the opening.
Right.
And so the stick is falling out.
Right.
See the swirl pattern?
I saw the guys down there on their knees.
Still needs to be cleaned.
That looks like some job doing this.
Do this all by hand if it's finished. Tire sprinkler line.
Oh yeah.
Rain or water off the tires.
Right. Are these temporary lights, or are these lights temporary, or they're okay?
All that stuff is put in just for work.
Oh, okay.
It'll all come out.
So it'll be different lighting.
You can remember the ramp when it came down. I used to get, when I take tours with people, I'd have them take a picture on the ramp, because somewhere they could come back to, and know I was right here in the bottom. We're on level P2 right now.
Okay.
One more level below, P3 parking.
That's something, I think when it's all done, I'm going to drive through here with a camera, try and get shots and relate them to the shots I have it being built. We'll see how successful I
These
am.
big lines, all raised.
Yeah.
Copper, that's fire sprinkler system.
Is copper is water supply? Is that right?
That'll be probably water supply to the building.
Okay. And obviously these are drains.
That's a drain.
Or sprinkler.
That's fire sprinkler stuff. Mains.
Okay. And then we got some duct work there.
Yep.
A lot of duct work.
Air changes you're gonna have.
Down here it's all exhaust.
Exhaust.
Yeah.
You gotta get the air out.
Because there's no heating or anything down here, right? Yeah.
Everything's got to be designed to keep your overhead heights. If you're driving forward drives and everything, you got a minimum of 6'8" or something like that by code. I don't know what our minimum is.
Yeah.
You could try to go a couple inches above. You're at the very bottom now. You can't get any deeper.
Okay.
This wall here, I think it's like 85 feet to the top up to Franklin, and then we go to 45, 65 feet down here at Bend. You've been watching this thing grow. And
have these been painted?
Yeah, painted.
Okay.
That's a concrete cover around the columns once again.
Okay.
Down here, you also wanted to protect them from any damage from vehicle traffic.
Right.
Well, as you heard, the beams down here in the parking area are encased in concrete, and that's basically for two reasons. Number one, to protect them when people run into them with their cars, and I guess inevitably that is going to happen. And number two, as fire protection. Here's a video from back in week 42 where they're actually putting up one of these bottom beams, the iron workers at work. I'm pretty sure it's one of the beams we're looking at. I didn't identify which specific beam it is, but I'm pretty sure it's one of these very beams we're standing next to right now being put up by the iron workers back in week 42.
They have concrete on them. It also provides the fire protection, but also for vehicle damage.
Right. How many cars do you think they can hold? Do you know?
Oh shoot, I forgot what you know what the parking is?
My guess would be 200 some odd parking stalls on this side, 200 some on that. I think the number is like 460 altogether.
Oh, really? The same on both?
No.
Even though that's a smaller site?
So that's going to be deeper.
Deeper? Oh, okay.
So they're going down 6 levels over there, and the bulk of the parking is going to be on that side.
Oh, okay.
I think what the city asked was to see if they will scale back parking on this side.
Huh.
Temporary power, power to run different things in the hospital, temporary lighting, all that.
Okay.
All this stuff is hung just for the operations.
Okay.
It'll all get removed, all cleaned up and all that.
Here we have reached the underground pedestrian tunnel. This is a tunnel that goes underneath Van Ness Avenue, and it connects the hospital with a medical office building that's being built across the street. We've been watching activity related to the construction of this tunnel for many weeks, and now we finally actually get to see the tunnel, at least from the hospital end. Here's some video from week 43 showing the start of the construction of the tunnel. Here they're putting a temporary roof over where the tunnel is going to be so that traffic can still travel over it while they're digging the tunnel. And here's some more video, also from week 43. The yellow map pin shows approximately where we're standing now. This is before any of the structural steel was put into place, obviously. And the gap in the rebar there is where the tunnel entrance will be, which is where we're standing right now.
Uh-huh. There it is.
That's a rare point.
That's the tunnel?
Yeah.
I see.
Wrap slab was just poured, the slab, put the slab on last week. They're cleaning this all out and getting all the rebar built, the rebar wrap all the way around the solid cage, and this form will pull in, spread out, and get it the right thickness.
Right now they're getting ready to pour the concrete for the last section of the tunnel there. That big yellow metal rectangular piece in the background, that is the form for the concrete. They slide that forward into place, and then they pour the concrete from above around it. You can see that they're putting the rebar in where the concrete will be, and then that yellow piece will slide forward towards us when it's time to pour the concrete.
See the white stuff, that's the waterproofing.
Right.
We'll just scratch all the way over the top to make an envelope.
So the concrete will come in from the top through a
I'll pour
hose, I
the
guess.
concrete from
Yeah.
the top all the way up to the thickness on the top.
I see.
This is that thick right.
All right, so I slide that in and then pour the concrete down. Okay, I see.
And where they marry together, there's a thing called an expansion joint, a waterproof expansion joint that gets installed when that lets the two tunnels essentially a building and the hospital is a building, and they work independently of each
Right,
other.
right.
So that big piece of rubber waterproofing will collapse and expand as the building moves in between, so they can still keep water out.
I see.
Fire pump rooms back in here. They'll have big fire pumps to run the fire sprinkler system.
Oh, really?
The pressure.
Oh, keep the pressure up. So those will run off the backup generator, I assume.
Yeah, we'll have the backup generator up top down there. The fuel oil tanks built into the building.
I saw them lower the tanks.
Yeah.
Are they Can we see them? Are they visible?
You know, and the hard part about building any job, especially in the city, is there's not much storage facility. Yeah,
Right.
It takes a lot of coordination to make the different storage areas.
Oh, there's
And
the
you can
tanks,
see
yeah.
All the duct work is
Yep.
sealed to keep clean.
I assume you guys must have a pretty complicated schedule about what arrives when and all that. And,
Oh yeah. They got
Stuff sometimes because of the activities that happen will get put somewhere and then has to get relocated. Don't make people happy, but that's what happens.
So these are the tanks, right? I remember these. I remember when they lowered these in.
Here are some views from back in week 41. This is when the fuel tanks for the emergency generators were delivered and lifted into place. They put them into place before any of the structure was built, and then they built a structure around them. This is obviously way easier than trying to put them in after the structure was built, so that makes sense. I assume these tanks will last a really long time before they would ever have to be replaced. I believe where we're standing right now is right about where that yellow map pin is there. And you can see in this video, which is also from week 41, that one of the tanks has been put into place.
Those are big tanks. Those are big tanks. That'll be diesel or gas? Diesel.
So, but the build out on this, it's not going to be that extensive, right? The rooms are kind of what they are. Most of it's going to be painting and striping for the parking.
We've emerged from the parking levels and we're back at ground level. We're actually at the corner of Van Ness and Geary Streets, right where the main lobby will be. And right in front of us is that pink building that we've seen in so many videos because it's right in front of where our cameras are. We're now behind that building on the other side from our cameras, and that pink building contained pumps for pumping the fireproofing coating that they spray on the beams.
Pump down these lines, different places in the building.
I see.
Nah, don't worry about it. We always bring that because we know he steals all our legs. Man. Alright guys, let's go to we'll go back outside and then we'll go get on a lift.
Okay.
Some of the interior early rooms, now, by code, you can't have any plain drywall go in place till the building's wrapped up and the roof's on, sealed up, no water.
Okay.
So what we've done to get early start, we've given proof system board, the green stuff. So it's a lot more expensive, but it's coated on both sides to keep its water resistant.
Yeah, I've seen that used in bathrooms.
Now you can't submerge it underwater because it'll eventually run, but it's water resistant. But we still comply with the requirements of what's called an alternate means of compliance, an AMC, that we presented to the regulatory inspection agency. It's an alternate means of compliance, and we keep it as dry as we can. We keep this so far back from the exterior wall. And we plug all the holes up above to keep water on. And that allows us to progress with the early rooms. I want to show you the edge of the tunnel where we were.
Oh yeah.
That's right about at this level.
Okay.
And then we walk on top.
Now we've emerged from the building and we're outside along Van Ness Avenue, what I would call the front of the building, and we're right over top of the pedestrian tunnel.
This is the emergency fire department connection. If there was ever a fire or anything in the building, they come. There's the breakaway fence. They can access this and that hooks up their pump truck and that pump water throughout the building, what's called a dry standpipe.
Right.
And that's accessible up along the stairs all the way up. They could get in and pump water, hook a hose, pump water throughout the building if they needed to.
Okay.
We park in different places from one place to the other.
Oh yeah.
We'll go up where there's concrete being pumped. Here's the pump truck. We'll move the location around to minimize the length of the pumping.
Oh, there we go.
We got about 1 minute. We got to start back up.
Okay. All right.
I don't want anybody to get hurt. Beautiful looking one.
It is. That's good. Hello. How's everybody doing?
Sir, we're going to go to 6 again, please. There's a little gap in this.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, now, here. So you're going to be very careful. We're going to walk straight across over here and get on the concrete. We can't really walk out it here.
Okay. This is like a test. It's like a field sobriety test.
Now we're up on level 6. They're pouring concrete on this level today, so we've got to walk across some rebar where they haven't poured the concrete yet. It can be a little tricky to walk across the rebar, but a passerby gave me some advice to step where the rebar crosses, because those are the most stable points. And sure enough, that did work the best. And I quickly got the hang of it, if I do say so myself, and I got across without incident.
Alright, let's see. So, walk on the crossing. Yep, you're right.
For them to test slump of concrete. Like told you about moisture content and how stiff the concrete has to be down there. They take a cone and you fill it up, you rod it, then you pull this off and you measure from the top of this cone to there, and that's how far it spreads out. That tells you what the slump is, how thick it is, or viscous, basically.
Interesting.
So that has to be tested. If it's not to the level that it's supposed to be, goes back.
Goes back.
Now here we have an example of what's called a ride-on trowel for smoothing concrete. We've seen these in quite a few of the past videos, and as I've said in many of them, I sure would like to try one out sometime. Unfortunately, I did not get a chance to try one out during this tour, but who knows? Maybe someday I'll get to try one. They look like fun, but I imagine there's probably actually some hard work involved. I don't know, but I'd sure like to try one someday.
I've seen them riding these. I've always wanted to ride on one.
One of the riders there, obviously the wheels come off. Now when we pump concrete up initially, we have to put something in that big pump to slick it up. So they'll put either wet concrete or wet concrete with slurry.
I see.
That's what these swimming pools are for.
Okay.
You have to get it to the proper thickness, the amount you get the wet stuff out that's in the line to get it moving. And then once you cut that off, you test it. And then when you meet the testing criteria, you can place it.
Okay.
Now there's a really high level of floor flatness required in a hospital, or really in any building, specifically in a hospital. So the different techniques they're using here to finish this with these cuts, with these, you see the floats that they're using, have to be cut perpendicular and then 2 ways diagonally. Helps minimize the humps and bumps. So you got to get it flat before you put the finishing machines on. If you don't have it flat, you just ride in the humps and bumps.
Okay.
So there's a big program here, and immediately after this hardness, tomorrow morning there'll be a crew up here testing flatness to make sure we meet the flatness regulations.
Okay.
Those of you who are regular viewers and have been paying attention know what these are. These are viscous wall dampers. They're a new technique used here in this hospital for the first time in the United States, I believe. They dampen the movement of the building during earthquakes. You can search online for viscous wall damper and you'll find various stuff about them. Basically, it's a narrow tank which is attached to the lower floor, and that's filled with a very thick or viscous fluid inside, and the upper floor is attached to a blade that goes down into that tank. So that blade being in the viscous fluid in the tank dampens the relative movement of the two floors. At least that's my understanding of how it works anyway. Here's some video from week 66 showing a viscous wall damper being installed. In fact, I'm not 100% sure, but I think this very viscous wall damper that we're standing next to right now is being installed in this video from week 66.
Emergency ways of powering out whatever you can't depend on the main lift. So basically to this level and above we'll have 4. I forgot how high that one goes. So we have convenience. Coming out?
Yes, sir.
We only need a 6, right?
We're going to go to the top and take a look. He's going to take some photos.
the top if he keeps holding on though.
Every once in a while he tries. He cranks it wide open. There's something up here keeps stopping us. Full throttle, full throttle.
Ah, here we are.
Okay, we can't really go anywhere for you. We're right
okay.
here.
All right.
This area isn't released. But I wanted you up to get to the top and see what the city looks like here.
This is going to be a nice view. I wouldn't mind being sick in this hospital, actually.
Huh. No kidding.
That is quite a view.
Talk about stairs. There they're sitting.
Oh yeah, there they are.
That proportion. This has got to get done before they can go in.
The lighting's not
You
good.
notice the stairwell over here to get out?
Yeah.
Well, up here on the 12th floor, we get a pretty good view of the top of tower crane number 1. At least that's what I call it. I don't know what they call it. I call it number 1 because it was the first one that went up. From our camera's perspective these days, it's mostly blocked by the building, so we don't actually see a lot of tower crane number 1 anymore, just the very tippy top. My understanding is that this crane is going to eventually go just a little bit higher, so apparently there's one more boost coming sometime in the future, so look forward to that. Also up here on the 12th floor, we can see that the special white beam from the topping out ceremony is still here, so it's good to confirm that. We saw the topping out ceremony back in week 76. The white beam is signed by lots of people, workers, and basically everyone associated with the project who wants to sign it, I guess. And then as part of the ceremony, it's raised to the top to designate that the building has reached its highest point. There are various theories about the origin of topping out ceremonies. If you search online, you can find various articles about where this ceremony got started and how it came about. And of course, if you want to see some of the topping out ceremony, then go back and look at week 76 weekly time-lapse video.
How long will these be here? When do they come down? A long way off?
It'll be a ways. We got to put the whole exterior skin on, but
Oh, okay. So not until the whole exterior's on do these come down.
that's what's going to lift all the pieces in place.
Oh, I see. So they're here for a while.
You know, I forget working here. I've been on big projects shoot for 30 years that when I do have tours or bring people up, it's fascinating to them because they're not something they do every day.
Right.
And sometimes I think we take it for granted how much fun or how spectacular it is
Yeah.
because we're here every day.
I'm sure it's probably not all fun, though.
No, it isn't.
Probably a little bit of work involved sometimes.
You know, there's a lot of stressfulness sometimes keeping schedule and things. You know,
Yeah.
building something this big, thank you very much. Something this big and this complicated, there's always going to be things that got to be fixed or altered. And the process to get something altered is real time. So we have to go through so many steps. To do hospital work, you have to be a patient person because it teaches you patience. You can't just run and do everything. You have to stop, paperwork, and go through all the channels and get back to the paperwork and go through the cycle. One of the reasons it's so expensive because this building has to be perfect. It has to be able to function in the emergency. We have an earthquake here and all these other buildings fall and you got a million people, bleeding, dying people. You got to be able to come from somewhere so they can get free on it. Right. This is down. We have no.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Yes, sir. the loading dock. You've seen it. Now the trucks will be backing in. The hospital will be supplied from here. They'll come in and back up into this, and everything will be, the hospital will operate out of this. I mean, people don't realize how important the loading area is, man. All your food, your supplies, your medicines, everything will come right through here. This is the hub of the whole deal.
Yeah.
So I will turn you over to this young lady.
All right, thank you very much.
For the trip.
I appreciate it.
Well, we've reached the end of our tour of the site. Once again, I've got to scan my helmet to get out so they don't send in a search party looking for me. I hope you enjoyed the tour. I certainly enjoyed it very much, and once again, I want to thank the people who made it possible. This was a one-time special deal. Unfortunately, there probably won't be any future tours. This was it, although I guess you never know. However, the weekly time lapses will, of course, continue. This video is from week 89, and there are many weeks to come, so I hope you'll join me for those. If you're a subscriber, thank you very much for being a subscriber. I do appreciate it, and thank you for all the comments. I always enjoy conversing with everyone. Now, if you're not a subscriber, then why the heck not? Click on that button and subscribe, because you do not want to miss any of these videos, right? There are many more construction videos to come, so stay tuned.